Welcome in Vigo's court. We're back. It is another weekend, and it is another time for some Vigo's tournament play. We got Vigo's semifinals going on right now for these qualifiers. Q, are you excited?
I am ecstatic. I'm not even excited. I'm ecstatic.
Ooh, I love it. Guys, court is in session. I'm your judge, Judge Vader. We got Counselor Q here. We're excited. Are you excited?
Oh yeah, what it do? But you know what? Honestly, I always love, like, I don't know what it is about like the weekends and competitive gaming. I feel like it's usually when these guys and gals are gonna wake up a little early, get some warm-ups in. It's not like they're rushing home after work and stuff like we sometimes see on the weekdays. And we get to see people really kind of in their groove coming into these games. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I've definitely I've been one of those survivors that has had to do the whole, oh my gosh, it's a weekday, I've got a game tonight, I gotta get home from the office, and like you're like sprinting to get back to your car to drive home, sprinting to your computer, logging in, and then like you're getting on that chat with the rest of your team and you're like, I'm here, guys. Hold on, I'm fine. No, I'll be able to communicate. I'm good. Let me catch my breath. Get that wheeze going a little bit, but hey, we're ready for some Undying Alliance, some Arctic Wolves. This should be a really good matchup, guys. I'm excited. We've seen some really good killer play and some really good survivor play from both of these sides, so I expect it'll be an amazing match. And it looks like we do have Arctic Wolves killing first. I'm still waiting on the invite to get this lobby set, guys, but hey,
I do gotta say, I'm excited because I feel like Arctic Wolves are kind of in this like little bit of a coming out party. I know they just had their first like competitive win. I think it was a couple weeks ago. We're kind of seeing them starting to, get in that groove a little bit. So kind of excited to see what they bring to the table today.
Yeah, and definitely they'll be facing off against Undying Alliance, which I have seen through several leagues here. And Undying Alliance they're a strong team. Definitely, they have also come out and shown out in Vigos as well. So really expecting a fun matchup. The last match that UA was in actually ended up being pretty close against Prestige. Like they did really well in 3 different matches, and then there was still a chance for Prestige to try to bring it back, but UA was able to close it out. So I'm interested to see, do we have another really close matchup like we did that time, or are we going to see a little bit more of a point spread here where UA tries to put it away early, or do we see it on the other side where Arctic Wolves is coming out gunning and trying to put it away by the third match?
So I think UA is obviously going to be coming in with a plethora of experience and knowledge, and kind of they're used to showing up into these competitive scenes, even though this is obviously the semifinals heading into our regular season here. But this isn't their first rodeo, to speak, where, as we did talk about Arctic Wolves, they're kind of in the middle of, I mean, it's their rookie year, right? They're in the middle of their coming out party. They've got a lot of fresh blood. One thing I will say though is, I would imagine the Arctic Wolves probably scrimmed the Golden Wolves quite a bit. And let's not forget that the Golden Wolves actually just took down Agony, I think it was last weekend or the weekend before. So even though Arctic Wolves is a newer team, I don't think that they're going to be coming into this matchup against such a, I guess you can say, like a no name. Like, I don't think they're going to have those nerves because they've played against this kind of competition before, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I think to go off of that, Wispy, the killer for Arctic Wolves, I believe actually came from Golden Wolves, because I don't believe that Arctic Wolves had, I believe Arctic Wolves was a survivor coaching team originally, and so they actually pulled Wispy from Golden Wolves to go ahead and kill for Arctic Wolves. So this should be really high level killer play on both sides, and it'll be exciting to see how the survivors deal with that. And definitely, I mean, survivor's best tool is being able to communicate and being able to return the pressure to the killer that the killer's trying to put down on the map. So I definitely have faith in both of these teams that they know how to do it. We'll have to see how well the execution goes.
Yeah, and I think today's gonna be, because of the caliber of that we're gonna be seeing on the killer side of both of our teams. This is where a lot of the micro decisions and where am I stepping in for the body block? Where am I maybe
Yeah.
trying to take my killer to the dead side of the map? And even though I'm giving up a hook, I'm giving my teammates time for a full reset. Those decisions are going to be probably the difference between what moves you on to the next round or unfortunately going home in a really close matchup today.
I'm actually expecting, and I know this is crazy, but I'm kind of expecting to see at least one tie in a trial where we have that 8 hook 2K that results in same amount of points for the survivor as killer.
Right.
I don't think we'll see it every time for sure, but that would be kind of nuts, wouldn't it? Like if the killer and survivors are so on par with each other that we just see like a 1 or 2 point separation through all 4 of these matches, that would be kind of crazy, but it would be incredibly exciting to watch.
Yeah, do we know what our killer pool is looking like as far as what does each team have available? Are we still looking at the potential of seeing like a lot of our meta 3, or are we potentially seeing some of the next 3, or?
So I think UA still has, I think they brought a spirit, maybe. I'm trying to remember to what they brought before, but
Sorry if I'm asking questions that you weren't ready for. Don't mean to be putting you on the spot or anything like that.
You're good, honestly. Definitely a lot of the matches for myself, like they're running together a little bit, but definitely I know that both teams still have S killers on the board. Definitely we know Arctic Wolves, they did use their nurse initially, but they also still have really high tier killers left over. So
Because I would imagine that's going to be what we're mostly going to see today, right? Because if I'm not mistaken, everything resets for the finals and everything is back on the board, right?
Yeah, I'm expecting to see those S tiers, any of them remaining, like Blight, and I believe that UA has Blight and Spirit still left, both of those.
Okay.
I do believe they've used Nurse. And so if they do have both, I think we'll see both of them come out. And I'm waiting for an invite from our killer here. Let me make sure with the teams that we are good there. But Q, what would you be expecting to see? Definitely, I think the first map we're playing on is Suffo Pit, I think. Let me check.
First off, can I just say, if we're on Suffo Pit, I love the little bit of randomness that Suffo Pit gives as far as the killer side, because sometimes on that top side of the map you can end up with a nasty like 4 or even 5 gen situation. And that can put some really, especially if the survivor team isn't paying attention and they knock out like the 3 gens on the opposite side very quick, they can very quickly play themselves into even a nasty 4 gen situation in those cases. Because they aren't paying attention. So I like seeing that. I think on Suffo, I like watching Blight a lot. I know we talked about both teams having some S tier killers left. Blight would be fun to watch. I always also, I know Wispy's got a pretty nasty shot with the Death Slinger. Wouldn't be surprised to see Death Slinger used before the nerf. See a couple of the killers bring out Death Slinger one last time. But I would imagine that both teams are going to come out with like just very aggressive builds, at least especially in the first game. I think it's going to be very much about trying to secure early hooks, but not so much early eliminations, and trying to stretch to a 3, potentially 4K. So I think that's like that's the more worth when you're on your killer side, right? Especially when you're early, because then you can kind of alleviate some of your pressure off of your survivors coming into game 2 and 3. So I think the first game, you really hope you can be set up here, but it looks like this might have been the reason why we weren't invited. They were getting everything set up for you. That way it makes the job nice and easy, huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, all of a sudden I see the invite from High Surveillance, and I'm going, but wait, you're surviving. I go ahead and join, and everybody's here. Like, look, the gang's all here. We're ready. I am gonna send invites just to some of these guys on here, just so I like have them for next match, they can send me some invites. So go ahead, get that done. But yeah, we're almost ready to go. We'll wait for confirmation from our ref that builds have been sent in and are good to go before I hop out of this killer spot and have us going right into the match. But yeah, it looks like chat's actually saying that Blight may have been used by UA, so we might not see Blight on Suffo Pit. But for sure, our two maps for today, guys, are going to be Suffo Pit and Wrecker's Yard.
That's exciting. So we got Suffo and Wrecker's Yard. Honestly, I've been having a lot of fun playing on. I always love watching the Azerov's maps just because I think it becomes a lot more. The chases become a lot more interesting between the engagements between the survivors and the killers.
Yeah, indeed. And it looks like Dukes, are we good to go on our match? It looks like I got confirmation from survivors are trying to tell me they're ready. Let me see. All right, sweet. Looks like we are ready to hop over to our spectator role. And guys,
let's get it.
Indeed, let's get it. I am ready. I am excited. Guys, this is going to be Suffocation Pit. Really, these survivors can put a lot of pressure on the map. Normally a 3-gen either being on top or bottom. So interesting to see how these survivors attack that, what tiles we get on the map, but it's gonna be exciting.
Do you think there's ever going to be a day where we might come where we have a full control going into a suffocation pit and we can put exactly what tiles we wanted onto it? Like how awesome would that be?
Behavior, needed features, please.
Yes.
You know, actually what I want, if we could do a bird's eye view as spectators. Can you imagine?
Or have multiple spectators so you can kind of work multiple angles in and stuff, I think would be fun too. Yeah.
I think that would be insane. Like if we were able to like just zoom out and think about this for you and me as casters, that's got to be like the most exciting thing for us, because we'd be able to go like, oh yeah, the killer's totally chasing this one survivor, let's check and see on the map, and go to a bird's eye. And like, even if you couldn't like see with a lot of definition, like if it was just like character faces moving, like as if it's like a Pac-Man or something, dude, that would be nuts. We'd be able to be like, oh yeah, this is a perfect play and here's exactly why. And dude, like I'm getting giddy just thinking about that.
Yeah.
Like, if only Behavior, if you're listening right now, if you're watching us, please, just for the spectator role. Like, if you
just
could,
for the spectator role.
Please, do it.
I mean, I'm just saying, if Halo could do it back in the 2007 to the 2010, I think we can get it going in 2021. You know,
it's like a mini map. Just give me a mini map.
Yeah.
Well, guys, let's go ahead and review these killer rules. We got Wispy on killer here, so let's see how they can score. So guys, obviously we are scoring via them hook points. So first and second hook being 2 points per, third hook being 3 points, progressions being worth less points at 1 and 2 points respectively. And then we do get a 7th and 8th progression. We will get 1 point per for those. 4 kills results in 2 more points. Entity kills or Mori kills are the corresponding hooks. And then any bleed out is 0 points, leaving us with 30 available points for our killer. And I don't think I called this, but we are seeing a slinger, Q.
I think I called it, actually, if I'm not mistaken. That's okay. Wispy's got a really nasty shot. I'm super excited for this. You are going to see, of course, on that top side, you're going to see it pretty well every map of competitive DBD, probably ever, of course, that with that corrupt intervention. That's just going to really help. You got to keep in mind, you know, we've got four survivors all in comms. They're all going to be looking and wanting to put pressure on those gens as much as possible. So at least now, Wispy 1 knows where probably the couple of survivors spawn because of which generators are blocked, and can at least get back here and put a little pressure. You actually see we're able to find Ryan pretty quick. Actually, going to go. Oh, I thought they were going to be able to get a quick peek into that corner. That would be actually really cool. It does look like though. Wispy is going to come back into more of the middle of the map. Good idea to do there, especially because as we can see there with the sparks coming from the generator, of course, we do have a Ruin in play. Is going to help a little bit with the pressure on those generators in the early part of the map, especially with Suffocation Pit being big. You can sometimes get maybe an extra hook or two, depending on where your spawn is.
Yeah, and definitely the shots that I saw there, like that prediction shot, I didn't know if he was going to be able to get it or not. I was definitely holding my breath on it, but we were seeing a little bit of maybe some quick scope attempts there. We saw that quick ready aim down sights. I'm really wondering how is that going to be affected by the new changes. I don't think we're going to see that from Deathslinger in the next upcoming games after the update.
I think the changes to Deathslinger will maybe make the more casual player feel a very big difference. I would imagine somebody like Wispy, who spends a very, very big amount of time on Deathslinger, has a very good, very, very solid shot. Maybe we'll feel the difference a little bit, but we'll be able to make the adjustments as needed. We've even seen, some of the content creators out there like Alexandra, they've been playing around with some other killers, just kind of preparing so they can kind of have some options. But I think most of your Deathslinger mains are still going to be fine with the nerf. We do see though, we've got now at this point, we've got the hook and I was going to say two other damaged survivors in the state though, but you see kind of going to be hanging around here, probably going to try and secure a second hook state here. With the second, or with that other person getting healed, you'd think maybe we got a two-person save coming in. We've got a first player in. Don't see a second player. That is going to be a second hook state. That's going to be huge, especially now because, again, we still... Oh, I thought that was going to be a shot. We still have two other injured survivors in the trial right now.
Indeed. And definitely want to see those resets happen. We are seeing a lot of survivors running around here, which does mean those gens aren't being progressed, and we were still seeing the sparks fly on those gens, so Ruin is still up. So this is a lot of pressure for our Slinger here, just chilling in the center of the map and kind of keeping this map split for the survivors, forcing them to have to get those edge gens done, which will potentially force them into a 3-gen.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing that you were talking about, right? It was able to get a hook that was relatively close to the 3 generators that were affected by the corrupt intervention. And then, oh, what a shot! Gonna be pulling him in. Oh, is it good? Oh, nope, not gonna be able to get caught there on the tree. That's gonna be a down. Nice shot. Gonna probably leave them slugged, I would imagine, going back for the hook, imagining that one of the 2 remaining survivors in the trials are going there. You do see the scratch marks. Oh, no. Okay, well, you're going to be able to have a nice little stop there. At least had the, you kind of use the lunge to close your distance. You would have to imagine with the survivor breaking away from our chase survivor here, it does mean that our chase survivor may potentially be the one that could be potentially okay if she happens to go down the ground for a little bit. But we'll have to see what goes on here. Right now, we do have 2 generators done. We got some healing going on. I'm pretty sure we probably have some survivors getting reset right now.
Yeah, and definitely these survivors, we are seeing the resets happen here. We do see Dead by Cats and Chase here, and I believe if Dead by Cats goes down, that is going to be Death Hook. I think it is smart, definitely, for Wispy to continue this chase here. Take 6 points away from the survivors, get a confirmed kill, and then try to pressure those gens again. But I think Wispy's definitely in a really good situation, even having to go to this corner and get this Death Hook, just because where the gens that are left are, I don't think the survivors are really able to pressure the gens on this side. Well, I was wrong.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the first gen though over on this side, right? Because of where Wispy had that had the hooked survivor for so long, the survivor team did at least do a good job of sitting over on the 1 there. But we still have the 3 gen over here on the top side, and then we have just the 1 gen on the far side over there. Kind of typical of what we see on Suffocation Pit generally once 3 gens are done. But it does look like we're gonna get another down here, so now we're gonna have somebody else going up on hook.
Yeah, and I like the play to introduce a little bit of slug pressure, drive these survivors off this gen. Definitely, you don't have enough hook states yet to where you feel super comfortable going into that 3 gen, If they are able to pressure it out, even if you got the 2K here with only having 6 hook states, it still results in a survivor win. So you're wanting to possibly get a little bit more downs, possibly cause a snowball. It will be interesting to see if high surveillance can get up here in a second.
Oh, I thought she was going to be, Wispy was going to be able to pull that Megan to the window, and just not quite in time. We do see the pickup coming across the way. I would imagine with the amount of time that came in there, that was probably a pickup and not an unbreakable play. We'll have to probably check in post game to see, but we do have 2 survivors here in front of Wispy. Wispy has a decent amount of pressure right now. Again, 2 survivors both injured. One, of course, also has the men's status effect that they have to cure before they can really start working on those generators. And the one survivor that is full health getting reeled in close, that's going to be all 3 survivors now that are currently in the trial are just 1 health state away from being down on the ground. This could be some very big snowball potential, especially because at least until we get the nerf coming to Deathslinger, the Deathslinger's 1v1 potential is very, very strong.
Yeah, I agree that these survivors need to try to reset, because especially against a slinger, it is going to be really easy to try to just nail those shots and confirm kills. And we do see Megacy getting healed here, so I like seeing it. High surveillance being healed shortly after. Those are actually really fast heals, if I can say. Like,
yeah, definitely probably have some sort of a reset build, maybe even a med kit over there if the med kit's even still left. Of course, we have already seen a lot of health states getting reset, so there might not even be any charges in a beefy med kit at this point in the trial. But we do see Wispy's got a hooked survivor here back in the 3-gen area. If I were the survivors here, honestly, it might not be a bad idea to just go ahead and knock out that far gen so you at least get those generator points, versus trying to come over here and snowball into a 4K before getting that 4th gen done. What do you think?
I definitely think here you might be more focused on trying to get the gens, but definitely having the survivor hooked in the 3-gen does not make this easy on our survivors. I don't think you go for the unhook, definitely, but I think that I'm gonna call it the top left gen over there. I think that you got to try to pressure that. Of course, we are seeing our Deathslinger go over and patrol now, and it sounds like we may have had somebody on it. Yeah, somebody sounds nearby. Not much
unfortunately
progress
though.
on it.
Yeah, they were only just getting to it, right? So, oh, but that's that gen though. So that's at least a 4th gen done. It does look like though it has already cost the survivor team a hook state, but that does mean that Wispy now knows that they have both survivors on the in front of them compared to the survivor that is on a hook behind them. Oh, there's the second survivor. That's crazy. You got immense pressure right now.
Yeah, definitely. This is looking really good for our Deathslinger here. For our survivors, definitely they will be looking to recover, try to get... I think you just give up Ryan on hook here, because even with 6 hook states, because that's 2 progressions on Ryan there, going from first hook to death. Deathslinger needs 2 more hook states to be able to tie. So I think definitely you go ahead and you just try to pressure these gens out. We do see Ryan dying on hook. You just got to play smart if you're the survivors here. Don't give up any unnecessary hits, definitely with this Deathslinger, because you know the shots are going to be popping off.
Yeah, and especially with Wispy, who does have a very, very strong shot with the Deathslinger. So we do have it looks like we were able to locate, oh, I thought that was going to be a shot there. So we were able to locate down to it looks like that was the ace that we saw. I think that they also saw the Mega across the way there. So we'll see Wispy kind of come back. More patrol the 2 gens would probably be the play here, especially because your survivors are not going to be going for the same gen. Yeah, as you can see, they're kind of pushing opposite sides of the map here, and as long as they're not on a gen, that's a win for Wispy here. Wispy able to locate the Megan. The Megan is not going to be able to locate any other part as far as part onto the map to be able to break that chain. Zed takes the hit, but you're not going to see Wispy go. Instead, you're just going to continue to kind of make sure no gens are getting done.
Yeah, and that was an amazing shot by Wispy. Being able to hit that Meg from that distance, reel in and get the hit, definitely a lot of pressure. And to these survivors, it's kind of interesting. We're definitely seeing them run to the other side, but with Suffo Pit being such a thin middle section, really kind of plays into the killer's hands, in my opinion, you know, because you're running right into the middle where the survivor can, or where the killer can go chill, and everything's in front of them at that point. The gens are all behind the killer, and there's such a small area for the survivors to try to squeeze through to get to the other side that it's really easy for the killer to lock you out of that section. We may see a really slow progressing game from here if they're trying to continue getting this. We might have seen a balanced landing there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does sound like though our killer here, Wispy, has located the Megan once again here on the top side of the map around the main building. It does look like they're gonna go ahead and push on to the, or like basically around to the whole top side. This middle building, of course, being very strong for survivors. Wispy has already breaking out some of the doors and everything, kind of weakening that tile just a little bit. But of course, we will see instead Megan just going to the corner, taking the down. Kind of surprised to not see Wispy at least take the hook here, but it maybe possibly knows where our other survivor is, instead just going to go for this. Or I guess you don't want to worry about the hatch here play. That is still in play here. So instead we're just going to try and locate our other survivor.
Indeed. Yeah. And honestly, I think if you're Slinger, as far as points go, you go ahead and you actually hook. And if they are going to go ahead and try to make a hatch play, they're giving up yet another escape point. You get 2 progressions. You do come out of this on top. It does look like we have located the hatch. Definitely Wispy trying to make a statement with the 4K instead of just taking the possible 3K and going, all right, you can take your one down there. Now that we've located the hatch, though, I would want to see, do we see Wispy go back, hook the survivor, and then go back to the hatch and just chill near there?
I mean, I would imagine so. I would imagine so, especially with the, no pickup at this point. You would almost have to figure that you have Ace somewhere over where you were just at, possibly in a locker, though, hanging out. So if you can at least pick up the survivor, maybe move them a little bit away or put them as far back into this corner as you can. So then you make your Ace make the decision. Do I go for the unhook where Wispy is not by, or do I try and make, a last-ditch effort for the hatch? Now it does look like, though, Wispy's going to have trouble finding the slug. Of course, we're going to want to make sure they're able to secure the kill, so this is going to kind of take some time here. This is where you were talking about, though, right, where these end games kind of can sometimes prolong out, because Wispy has done a very, very good job coming out, especially with the Death Slinger, not really considered like your typical meta 3, and
right,
really looking down the barrel of a 4K, no pun intended. So we're at a point here where you can be coming out and then you still have whatever S tier killers you have in your pool are still left for game 4 if needed.
Yeah, and I'm actually really happy with the Deathslinger play from Wispy. This is for sure been a fun match to watch, as well as really showing off kind of the skill that Wispy has with several different killers that we've seen Wispy play in this tourney. But I think Suffolk Pit was a really good matchup to bring Deathslinger, for sure, with that middle section, as we saw how that was played by our killer Wispy.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. I mean, at least I had mentioned it coming in. Obviously, Deathslinger not really known for the 4v1 pressure, but we did see the build coming in to play that kind of gave Wispy that little bit of extra pressure in the early game. Not only the corrupt intervention, but we saw the ruin and the undying, all of which that have been broken by, at this point in the trial here, right? Oh, that hook's broken.
No.
Didn't notice it. This is probably going to be a wiggle free. This could actually be huge.
Yeah, that's huge for these survivors. I was wondering, I saw Wispy going up the hill and I knew that was broken, because that is where Dead by Cats ended up dying. And so really high IQ play by the survivor. Going down in the corner again. There are no hooks near here.
Yeah, this is a very, very unfortunate situation for Wispy. This is where one of those things where you kind of this is where sometimes those decisions of where you decide to sacrifice your survivors really comes into play. You don't really want to get rid of the edges just for this reason. Wispy might be able to make this hook, makes it just in time, able to secure the hook. Now the question is, where is our remaining survivor? Are they trying to make a play for the hatch, or are they possibly maybe sitting it over and trying to get that 5th gen, which would be some extra points for you as well?
Yeah, I think because when we were patrolling around with Wispy here, we did see gens kind of getting progressed a little bit. I think both of those gens, it sounded as if they were being progressed. I think High Surveillance is making the play to stay on the gens, trying to pressure out the 3-gen. We do see Wispy chilling on the other side of the map, so I think this is smart for our survivors. We'll see how this goes. Oh, nope, maybe not. We see Megacy looks like forcing themselves into second here with the new struggle mechanic. That kind of gives away that you may possibly be going for hatch, and we'll see Wispy pressure over here, pressure at the hatch. Do you think that's
and of course they
possibly
got
force?
priority too?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean it has to be a force with the amount of time that it took for Megacy for that bar to go down. The only thing that you might have is if you were lucky, depending on where your door spread is, maybe if it's all the way on the farthest side of the map. It does look like Wispy here is going to kind of try and step off, see if maybe they can bait out a survivor here. We do have a injured survivor, which is of course kind of the biggest thing. You might not want to force an adrenaline here. Of course, it is only a 4-4 killer, so
yeah.
But now we're just going to kind of see the traditional hatch standoff. I wish we could kind of see the doors at this point, to be perfectly honest, just because I'm kind of curious to see where this ace is at this point.
Yeah, me too. I'm wondering where our ace is, what the play is here. I was thinking actually, and it didn't end up happening, but I was thinking when Meg ended up giving up the first progression to go to second, I thought that maybe, oh wow, that door is on the other side. That might be a play, but I was thinking that maybe that was to get the killer to go to hatch, and possibly High could get the unhook a little bit more safely without a Deathslinger kind of chilling right near the hook. But we did see a progression all the way to death instead.
Yeah, now we got just basically a kind of a traditional door standoff. Very good doors for Wispy here, of course. Being able to just basically work either side of that little choke point that you were mentioning about a lot here on the suffocation pit, this little bottleneck. You got your doors on opposite sides of the map. If you were your survivors here for UA, you probably were really hoping that you were going to have that other door on the opposite side, giving yourself a little bit better of a door split. But it does look like we do locate our survivor here. At this point, it's basically just going to be about if we're able to secure the last elimination before the entity comes in.
Entity kill actually still is just fine. Only a bleed out denies our killer the points, so Wispy could just chill and let the ground spider take its sacrifice. So we'll see. Looks like we are going to get the hook here on High Surveillance. Definitely a pretty dominant performance from Wispy initially. I am wondering how UA is going to respond for sure. What killer do you think we'll see UA bring back? I think as we've seen this choke point played, you could see, I mean, I know High Surveillance has a really good Huntress that they haven't brought yet. I don't know. Maybe we see Huntress here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it all would depend on really what's available in the pool. At this point with Wispy coming with the 4K at 4 gens, you really need to come out and have a very, you have to, this is kind of like what we talked about in the, I think it was the last quarterfinals match that we were doing. At this point, are you going to be able to match 24-6 in game number 2? It's going to be tough. So instead, what you got to do is try your best at coming out on the killer side, minimize the difference between that 24-6, what that would be on the flip side going into game number 3. So I think you have to come out with a very aggressive killer. You mentioned a Huntress. A Huntress would be good just because, again, you talked about being able to control that bottleneck. And of course the hatches having the range. We've seen some, man, I'll tell you what, a comp Huntress isn't fun to go against, especially with some extra hatchet or two, depending on what add-ons they're running. So maybe a Huntress, or if a Blight's available, I feel like, a Blight's mobility is good for a map size like Suffocation Pit. but it's going to be, oh man, it's going to be tough to see it. I think the pressure is definitely on. Wispy's done a very, very good job coming out in game number 1, really building up that momentum that we were talking about. That way, as the survivors, now you can feel a little bit more relaxed heading into game 2, knowing that essentially you're all but building on your lead, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think for UA, you have the next 2 killer matches. You are killing for the next 2, so I definitely want to see them go ahead and try to put pedal to the metal, put the pressure back on Wispy for the final match. If you're Wispy though, if it does come down to you, are you feeling the nerves, or are you going, I already came out with a pretty dominating performance in round 1, go ahead and put the pressure back on me?
Yeah, I mean, I think after coming out with this performance in game 1, you're definitely feeling very confident. If I had to guess, Wispy's probably confident enough that they're just gonna that she's just gonna have to secure 1 elimination come game number 4, because I think the team, the confidence amongst the roster for Arctic Wolves is very, very strong. I feel like their chemistry is there, so I'm sure that it's almost their goal to see if they can make it to where they don't have to come out with a killer for game 4. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Although, I mean, as we already said, like in those finals, you have your entire killer roster back. Right. So I think knowing that for UA and for Arctic Wolves, those last killer matches, you're not pulling punches at all.
Right.
Like even if you are in a position where you can win without bringing an S tier killer, I don't think you pull any punches. You go, nope, we're gonna show you that we've got this. And so for sure, I want to see.
I don't know. Ryan's saying in chat that to trust they're bringing Huntress. So
I saw that. I'm game.
That's
I'm
confidence,
game,
bro. That's confidence. Be like, yeah, this is what we're coming with. Just so you know, I don't even care if you know before I bring her out. Hey. Because my Huntress my Russian hatchet mommy is just that bad. You know what I'm saying? She's a bad girl.
I mean, I can tell you from being able to see the survivors, or being able to see high surveillance play Huntress before, we'd be in for a treat.
Yeah. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna be exciting for sure.
It's really fun though. I know I had mentioned it very, very briefly heading into before game 1, but we're seeing Arctic Wolves. Oh, by the way, you're showing your Discord.
Oh, really?
Smiles.
Interesting.
Don't be showing that, bro. No, but we've seen Arctic Wolves. They continue to come out and let people know that, hey, maybe we aren't the Golden Wolves, but we're just as good, and we're here to put a name for ourselves, and we're here to put it, let people know that we're more than just a one team association. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, this is definitely, it's a statement, definitely on Arctic Wolf side. I know a lot of people in the Dead by Daylight comp community know about Golden Wolf, so for sure for Arctic Wolves.
The Wolf Pack, sorry, yeah. The Wolf Pack.
Yeah, for the Wolf Pack. Oh my goodness. But yeah,
I should know that. That's my bad.
It's all good. It's all good. I forgive you, Q. I forgive you. I think that for sure it is a statement, and it's a pretty bold one here. Definitely starting out with Wispy. We'll see how the survivors do as well. Waiting on an invite.
I think if you're UA though, you got to be. You have to feel that you can come in though with 2 dominant killer games. Like I said, even if you don't come out and match the 24-6 in game 2, if you can at least minimize the difference and still come out with a equally as good game in game number 3, then you still put the power in you put the control in your survivors' hands for UA. So
indeed, and like I've said already, like high surveillance is a very, very good killer So for sure, these survivors on Arctic Wolves are going to need to have good performances to keep it from being a like coming back down to the wire. You know, if the survivors are wanting to put it away, the pressure is definitely on Arctic Wolves survivors to do so.
Right, and I think this is where it's nice to kind of have that little bit of competitive spirit amongst the team, because now the survivors are almost going to want to come out in game 2 here and like match that intensity, so to speak, right? Wispy brought us this big lead in game 1. Let's see if we can almost build as much, even though it's obviously harder to on the survivor side, but see if we can continue to build that lead on our survivor side in not only game 2 but game 3 as well. So you know, I'm just excited to see what they do here.
Yep, and it does look like I'm hearing from the survivors and the killers. Everybody messed up. I never got an invite. They invited each other. And they went into a game. They went into a game without me, chat.
Oh no!
Oh my lord! They're like, we just loaded in and realized we didn't have a spectator. Oh nice. Man. Well. So we'll be waiting for that fresh invite from our killer. The survivors and the killer will be able to change builds for sure, as they kind of gave each other a preview of their hand, you know, just like, hey, I just want you to know this is what I was planning on bringing. But
it's all a red herring,
you know.
Anyways, it doesn't matter. So
yeah, it was totally, this was a bait and switch.
100%.
My goodness. And so that will be a no penalty reset, I believe. That's just going to be I
think that's a first in my books. Is that a first in your books?
That's 100% a first in my book. Just don't invite anybody from the league or from the tournament. Just go ahead and start.
We're just gonna run a scrim and we'll tell you guys the results at the end.
We'll scrim. We'll score keep. We'll let you know what happened. Like, sorry everybody in chat. Like, we don't want you to watch this one. We want you to go ahead and just like listen to it as if it's a radio podcast. So it was gonna be the Q and Vader show.
Well, while we got a second here, let's talk about it, because this week coming up, we've got Michaela being introduced, which is going to be bringing boon totems. What are your thoughts? Do you think, I think because of how in the comp scene you have to everyone has to have unique builds, right? Which means we see more perks than, you know, the typical like 6 that we see in pubs, right? At least at the higher levels. I would imagine that we'll probably see at least 1, if not 2 boom totems come into the meta into comp soon. Wouldn't you imagine?
It depends on if they're allowed. They're going to be banned, I think, initially. So,
well, they'll probably be banned so teams can kind of figure out if they're fair or not, essentially, right?
Possibly. And we are seeing actually Zello as our killer here. I think I'm pronouncing that right. I think that's Zello. So I don't think we're not going to see high surveillance as the killer here.
See, everything's just a red herring. What are you guys doing to us, Chad?
Dude, I have no idea what to expect here at this point. You know, like I was calling like a huntress I
feel like the survivors have a better idea of what they're gonna see in this next trial more than we do right now.
Yeah,
I'm not
100%.
Sure how I feel about that.
Yeah, survivors know what to expect. Killer knows what to expect from the survivors. They got a full preview. We're just in the dark, Q. Man. Somebody turned out the lights on us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny. Well, it does look like we've got people kind of getting ready up here. The only reason I had asked about the boon totems is because, you know, sometimes we see in the comp scene where Noed comes into play late game for some killer builds. And I almost wonder if people might feel like coming in with boon totems might prevent then you only have to worry about so many totems. You know what I mean? Especially if you have, let's say if you have someone who comes in with Ruin Undying, you have 2 boom totems and you break a totem. You don't have to worry about Noed anymore, right? Like,
right. Yeah, but I think it'll be interesting to see. I don't think that the boon totems are going to stay the way they are for sure. I expect a nerf from behavior
Well, they came out and they nerfed a little bit of it. They talked about in the dev thing. They're down to 24 meters and they don't stack. That's really the only difference we've gotten so far.
The boon totems won't stack on top of each other anymore?
No. No, then they went down from 28 to 24 meters, which even though that sounds like a small change for those of us who are really good at math and understand how circles work, that's actually a very big like area difference with just the 4 meters all the way around. So I think they're doing a good job of trying to track things.
Yeah, indeed.
As far as for balance. And I think that's one of the things that I'm excited about. I know people aren't all happy about the other thing that was talked about in the Q&A, so we aren't going to talk about that in chat. But
let's go ahead and get to these survivor rules real quick, though. All right, guys. So for our survivors, we are trying to go ahead and get those gens done. 1 points for the first and second gen, second and third gen being 2 points, or third and fourth gen, sorry, being 2 points each, fifth gen being 3 points. Those escapes are very valuable at 1 point, 2 point for the first two, 3 or 4 points and 6 points for the third and fourth escape. So confirming a kill is really good for the killer to go ahead and keep those survivors from scoring points. 26 available points for our survivors. And let's go ahead and get into the game here. And we're actually coming in the middle of a chase happening pretty early here, and we are seeing a nurse initially from our killer here. Zello coming in with the nurse. Ooh.
Yeah, that's exciting. You know, Nurse, of course, on here, able to traverse the map pretty well. Unfortunate, though, I don't know if you happen to see when Zillow looked up, it looks like we actually have a little bit of a split corrupt. Not exactly the start you were probably looking for Zello. You were able to get a survivor down very, very quick, though, so that's going to be good.
And for sure, we didn't see the... We don't see the hook happening here. We see going into another chase. Definitely, if you're Arctic Wolves, and when we do see it, the reset, picking up, taking away the possible hook from our killer here. How do you feel about the play not to go ahead and take that early hook?
I mean, I think what Zello was really hoping for, they saw the survivor off in the distance. I think they're hoping to be able to get a very quick down and then be able to kind of snowball their pressure from there. Take that second person that they got down, hook them a little bit closer to the first person that was slugged. Unfortunately, you know, when you're going against survivors of this caliber, you're going to have where you pressured a little bit too far. Now you have people up all the way across the map. The Arctic Wolves really showing out here right now. You got pressure going across, and that's not good for you if you're the UA killer Zillow here, especially with your split corrupt, because you've kind of got you've kind of got generators all over the place right now.
Yeah, indeed. And we are hearing pressure on some generators. We are seeing Nurse go ahead and pressure these other injured survivors here. We did see Wispy reset, but we still have 2 other injured survivors. Oh, and we have 2 people down on the ground now. So this is pretty good pressure still for the Nurse, especially seeing kind of our gen layout on this top side of the map again.
Yeah, you know, Zello was able to, I think the big thing there too, especially we can talk about now that both of the totems are broken, you know, I think Zello was trying to kind of in the beginning there use the slug with the Runa and Undying to kind of snowball some pressure. As we saw, was able to build back to having 2 people down again, but instead not able to secure the second hook. We do still have 5 gens in play though here, and that's going to include 3 survivors in the trial that are all hurt. That's going to be a huge miss though, because that would have been a down, and instead now our Nancy's going to go ahead and build more distance. Oh, and that's going to be down in front of the locker instead.
Yeah, and we are seeing our Nurse again trying to utilize some slug pressure, but I think with our with how Arctic Wolves is playing right now, they are very fast to reset, making sure to give this Nurse no ground to try to cause any sort of snowball here. We do see a basement hook though. That could be really good for our Nurse.
Yeah, it's going to be huge for our Nurse. A basement hook. That is going to be the second hook. That's going to be on a Wispy there. So that's our first hook on Wispy. We have 2 survivors that have already been hooked in the trial. That's our first generator only being complete for the 2 generators. That's going to be a trade that I'll take every day of the week if I'm a killer, if I'm being perfectly honest. A very quick save coming in, though. Now Zello is going to be close enough. Going to be able to double back. Not sure if they're going to be able to get the down. Going to take the hit. And the big BT hit, though. That means you don't have to worry about if you get one more hit. Of course, Zello doesn't have to worry about windows. They are a Nurse here.
Yeah, what a body block by Wispy, because we actually saw the Claudette on our screen and Wispy stepping in front to make sure the hit was on BT and not on Claudette. That's huge.
Yeah, it's going to be really big there because, of course, that means that Zello kind of has to engage in the chase there at that point, meaning that we have 3 survivors. Oh, dropping the kneel to assert dominance after the swing and miss. That's going to be huge. Zello instead decides to go ahead and break back to his generators here. Probably not a bad idea. You've kind of let your generators sit here and be worked on for this long. At this point, you need to start pushing some people off of it.
Yeah, definitely. These survivors are trying to progress those gens on top side and make sure that they don't end up in a 3-gen like their UA counterparts did in the first match on Suffo.
One thing we do see, though, even with the amount of pressure that Zello is putting out here, Arctic Wolves doing a very good job of keeping composed. You already mentioned it earlier. We're getting a lot of very quick resets. We do only have 1 generator done, but at this point, again, we've kind of had that Ruin Undying broken for a while. For all we know, we could have a couple of generators being very close to popping. There's one. There's, oh my goodness, it's like I knew.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think we have a psychic on our hands. Q, knowing exactly that these survivors were trying to progress. Look, sounds like 3 different gens, but definitely. Oh, I think that was Pop actually. So our nurses play definitely having the 4-gen over here now. How do you feel about the survivors going ahead and knocking out both those gens on that side, and I guess in a sense creating a safe zone where the nurse probably isn't going to attempt to chase you, but still making it so all of the gens are in the same location? Oh, that is unfortunate.
Oh no, it's basement after the second blink too. Very unfortunate. We had the deliverance play come in across, which means you would have to think, since we've only seen 1 other survivors, we have to have some other survivors working on some gens here. Zello feeling the pressure right now and really needing to get it down. And unfortunately, the survivor that Zello finds is the Nancy, which was full health. Now decides to kind of go into that safe zone that you were talking about, that back across the 50-yard line. There's really no reason for Zello to go there, especially feeling the pressure right now, only having 3 hooks so far. Definitely needing to kind of, put the pedal to the metal and start securing some hook states.
Yeah, definitely. And we are seeing a lot of these one-hit injuries and a little bit of a drop chase, or where the survivors are able to escape chase. That bodes well for our survivors as fast as they've been resetting. But here we do see 2 slugs here, and it looks like we see some fresh scratch marks, possibly a 3rd survivor nearby. If that is an injured survivor, then could be in trouble a little bit.
No, it is your only full health survivor. Unfortunately, though, your 2 slugs were right next to each other, so you're going to be able to not only get the hook, but now you're probably going to at least apply 1 health state before going for the slug. Oh, you got somebody coming back in. Not sure if that was an unbreakable play or not, but you've also got the unhook coming in. You've got all 4 survivors here. BT hit on Megan as well. Zello feeling the pressure, had such a good start. Now things starting to unravel just a little bit. The good news for you, if you're Zello, is you've got 4 survivors that are all 1 health state away from being on the ground, but that's a 4th generator getting popped across the map as well.
Looks like right there, though, still having that pop goes the weasel there, being able to apply that to another gen, and being able to get another hook state here, put them in basement, go ahead and make the survivors have to travel further to try to get that unhook, keep them off the gens, hopefully. But with there being only one gen left and 4 survivors alive, our survivors definitely have the advantage here.
Yeah, our survivors have the advantage. The one good thing going for you if you're Zello is your basement is in the middle of your 3-gen here. So now it's important. I don't know if Zello has applied his pop yet or not. We'll be able to see once they kick this next generator. I don't think they have, though. That does mean they have to make sure that they find the right generator, because you're only going to be able to make it to 1 of them. And instead, you're going to go ahead and commit to chase. Not sure this is the move. You need to at least start regressing 1 of the generators that's very close. You know you've got 1 in the corner that's far along, because it was at like 50% when you looked at it, like minute and a half ago. Maybe it hasn't been worked on much, but you could at least apply pop there if you haven't yet. and instead you still haven't secured any more downs. We've got another survivor in the corner here, though. This is our injured survivor. This is going to be Arnia. AO able to bait out the Dead Hard, gets the down through the Dead Hard as well. That's crazy.
Indeed, and we do see our Claudette getting unhooked here, and oh no, BT, and that is unfortunate. We didn't see another survivor come out of here, and so we are seeing Zello kind of look for another survivor. Claudette was second state, so you know that somebody had to do the unhook action. I think you got a hook there in that case, and it looks like we may have seen somebody hop out of a locker. That might have been where they were.
That's very, very tough too. Probably didn't mean to make the noise down there, especially because now Zello's going to come pick. Why don't go the basement? You had the noise in the basement. Anyway, Zello's going to come out here. The good news, though, you're coming out here, and your other slug is out here. So you're now coming out here to where you do have your other survivor. The only bad news is if the survivor has moved to the corner out here, that would mean that you've already taken, kind of like we saw in the last match with the Death Slinger, you've taken away that corner hook there. You've now got two injured, or you've got two survivors down. You know the Megan's across here. The question is, how close is this gen to popping?
Oh, no. This might be exactly what the nurse needs to turn this around. This is crazy. The fact that we have found the other survivor, unless there's an unbreakable, but if we indeed saw the unbreakable earlier in the match from the Claudette, then unbreakable would be off the table. And in this case, we are looking at another 4K potential here. And I think we'll see it. We see the 3 slug, 1 death already. This might be exactly what UA needed to bring this game all the way back and really almost make it a tie. I mean, look, we're gonna have the survivors. It's gonna come down to progressions, really, because we're going to have a 4K potentially as long as no bleed outs get forced and as long as nobody crawls the hatch. We're gonna have
one more generator get complete as well.
I think. Didn't 4 generators get complete for the, for UA, they completed 4 as well.
Oh, I thought they had completed 3. That's my fault.
No, they also completed 4. So we would see these killers going tit for tat.
That's insane. That's great. You know, we talked about it. We talked about, you know, coming into this, especially such a big map, you know, you might not think that you can match it, but you at least want to mitigate the difference in point. And now Zello has come out here, even with probably having shown their hand with the restart, now coming out here, as long as they can secure these last 2 slugs, will have matched the performance. And that just means that now it's going to be up for your killer here again, following up in game 3. You've pretty well put the pressure back right in the middle of the field, and now your killer can actually pull things in your favor in game 3 here.
Indeed, and we are seeing the double corner play. Oh man, you gotta hope that you have picked up Solar Blazer first, but these survivors are smart and trying to force the bleed out or the wiggle out for sure. Oh, we will see this one be a hook, I think. I don't think you wiggle out in time. And that is Solar Blazer, so that is the survivor that had the most chance of bleeding out there. And I think here, if I'm Zello, I'm trying to hook Wispy right now. I don't think I wait.
So what hook are you going to? You've already sacrificed the hook that's on the on Pride Rock over there. You don't have any hooks available at this point. I don't think you can make it to basement from that corner.
I don't think you make it to basement, but just like we had seen when Wispy was killer, there is another hook on that other side a little bit further down the way that I think you can take.
Yeah, and this is just kind of, you know, we're playing a little. I think the other thing too is you don't want to have a you don't want to have because we haven't seen Deli play come in yet, have we?
I think we have. That's
we
why
did see the Deli play come
I don't know about this waiting here. You're risking a bleed out timer going. We know where Hatch is, but yeah, I would go ahead and hook Wispy. I'm really worried here. Because if Wispy can wiggle out, you're going to be taking Wispy right to where the hatch is gonna be. So we could see.
Yeah, this is kind of dangerous here, isn't it?
It is indeed. And we do see that hook off in the distance. You see all the way over there. I think that's the one you take to. It doesn't look like that's where our killer's going. And dropping. Oh, and picking up. Are we trying to force?
I think the thought is the delay as you force it into end game, right?
There's the bleed out, I think, is going to happen, and I think we're just giving up the bleed out at this point.
I think Wispy is hoping to get back to the Wispy though is hoping to be able to get to the hatch in time to be able to close it possibly before the bleed out, because then that would be a sacrifice to the entity, right?
Yeah, but unless you force that survivor to get up, you would have had to juggle, I think, 2 more times in order to force that survivor
I was
to
just saying
be up.
For anybody who was watching, I think that was what the thought process there, in case anybody was kind of curious why you were doing the juggling there. You were kind of hoping to delay the bleed out timer. Just a very tough situation to be in there late game with the 2 slugs in the corner, unfortunately.
Indeed. All right, and so I think definitely that pulls it back within reach for UA for sure. But that bleed out actually being pretty costly. Not able to get those extra 4 points from Wispy there. The bleed out being a really smart play. But I mean, this is still, I mean, 4 points is not out of reach by any means.
Yeah, and especially too, you know, where'd you say we're going for our second map? I'm sorry.
We are going to Wrecker's Yard.
Wrecker's Yard, which can, you know, depending on what you're coming out with, I think we still, for UA, might have a Blight available.
I think Blight may have been used by UA actually. I think,
you know, Azerov's could be a fun, maybe potentially even a Huntress map, because I think they're talking about maybe bringing out the Huntress. So maybe that's why we didn't see the Huntress come out in Suppo. Your thought was bring out the Nurse in game 2. Let's put down the pressure. Let's close this gap as much as possible, and let's come out with the Huntress in game 3 and try and put the pressure onto the survivors of Arctic Wolves, or sorry, the survivors of UA in game 4.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I'm excited to see what we can what we end up seeing from these teams. And it looks like the killer uses for each of the teams have been Nurse, Blight, Twins on Arctic Wolves side, and then adding to that the killer they used today. And then UA has used Spirit, Twins, and Oni. So actually, it looks like UA does have Blight at their disposal.
Ooh, but Blight, well, I mean, but they also have Huntress though, right?
They do also have Huntress. So we may see a Huntress. Arctic Wolves, using their Deathslinger today, still has Spirit they can bring on Wrecker's Yard. And Spirit on Wrecker's Yard is a force for sure.
Yeah. I mean, especially because it's a little bit kind of like tighter together. You've got a little bit more open areas, so you can kind of see before you go into your, you know, into your phase, have an idea of where you need to go, even if it's across the map. I honestly always have a lot of fun with the Wrecker's Yard maps because they're a little bit more open. I think that's where you really see the survivor teams flex their communication, because they still have to do a very good job of rotating around the map, rotate away from where the killer is going, as well as moving towards whatever other gens need to be done. You know, whether it be somebody who's been pushed off of a gen or something like that.
Right. For sure.
So I think that's one thing I really like.
Yeah, and I think with Wrecker's Yard, a lot of times you see up in like the, I'm gonna call it the top corner, so the corner with the vehicle up in one section, in opposite the vehicle, there's a lot of times a 3-gen right there that the killers can pressure quite a bit and force survivors into bad situations. Still being there on the corner, there being a lot of hooks there to utilize.
How many points did we miss out on with the bleed out there?
We missed out on, let's see, there would have been a progression and a hook. So it would have been a second hook there, which is 2 points.
Yep.
We missed out on a progression, which would have been 1 point. But then it would have been an 8th progression, so we would have gotten another point there as well.
So
then you would have gotten, that would have been 4 points, right? And then you would have gotten the 2 points for the 2K, or for the 4K.
So 6 points.
So I think we missed out on 6 points overall.
That's unfortunate.
Maybe 5 points, but I'm pretty sure we would have missed out on 6 points overall. I might be miscounting those.
It's crazy to think that sometimes these these games kind of come down to things like that.
Yeah.
Especially because in that case, that's the difference between hooking whoever that was in the basement or bringing them out to where the slug was.
Yeah.
Because it sacrificed that hook.
Yeah, definitely. That corner ended up being played by both survivors
Both
very
teams.
well. Like,
yeah,
it
it's kind of crazy.
Hey, if you're watching out there, chat, you just learned something today. These teams have shown us something for sure. Next time you're in pubs trying to put pressure on a killer, maybe you go to that corner if you know you're going down and if that's already been sacrificed.
Well, I think that's like the part of where, as a killer on Suffocation Pit, the earlier you can get a sacrifice, the better, because usually your earlier sacrifices will be more central, right? Because you're kind of in the middle of everything. In both games, we kind of saw where the very first elimination came a little bit later in the trial, so they were already into that 3-4 gen that setup on that side of the map, and so you only have so many hooks, right?
Indeed.
So when you start taking away those hooks that are in your end game scenario, when that's all there's going to be left, you've got to be deliberate about your placement on your elimination hooks, and we've seen that come into play in both of the first two games.
Yeah, and on Wrecker's Yard, I think it's a little bit easier, but not necessarily. Like I was talking about the where the 3-gen could be opposite of that, where there's those trees on Wrecker's Yard. If you run to that corner, there's only like one hook near that. So for sure, that is the same kind of thing that we just saw at Wrecker's Yard. We may see our survivors try to play it the same way. Take chase right to that dead zone. If you know you're going down, take it to that corner. Make that hook get consumed.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I think that's where it comes to more, I feel like I talk about a lot when we talk about competitive DBD, because at the highest level of play, the differences between some of these games is so minute. It's some of the those very small micro decisions of, hey, where am I going to be deliberate about trying to take my sacrifice hook? Or if I'm a killer, where am I going to be deliberate about making sure that I've still got plenty of hooks left for end game?
Right.
And sometimes those are the things that you get to the end of a 2 or 3 set matchup, and those are the differences. And it's kind of crazy to think after 4 to 6 trials, though that's what decides a win and a loss is against, when you have 2 teams of these calibers going against each other. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, indeed. And I mean, really, like we've had great play from both teams, and so I definitely want to recognize that the reason we have a close game like this is because these teams are proving that, hey, we're both pretty evenly matched here.
Yeah.
And like, so for sure, I want to make sure everybody knows, like, we're being treated to a really good matchup, and this is what you want to see from a tournament. You don't want to see, especially in semifinals, you don't want to see
right.
a lot of like blowouts or anything. So definitely from what we're seeing, I'm happy with this. And chat, I hope you guys are also super excited to see the high level play from both teams. It is amazing to see. Both teams have worked very hard to get here and are proving that they should be here in this position.
Yeah, it looks like we've got some teams starting to get ready here. Looks like we've got all of our, hopefully it does mean we've got our builds in and everything, and we can start loading into some Wrecker's Yard. Yeah. I'm excited for it, man. We're talking about a 5-point game. I think some people would think that 5 points is a decent lead after 2 games. But as we even just talked about, that could have been taken away with the difference of that one bleed out. We could only be talking about a 1-point game. So now it's really up to our survivors here to kind of come out and see if they can, if they can do a little bit to alleviate the pressure that is going to be on UA's killer in game 4, that would probably mean the world to them. So let's see what they do in game 3 here.
Right. I definitely am wondering what they are going to bring. But I do want to say, like, these killers have definitely put pressure on, because we haven't seen a single escape yet.
Yeah, I mean, and it's crazy because I feel like when you talk about the DBD comp scene, it's not this. I don't think it's what some of the bigger content creators will lead you to believe, where it's just like a lot of hook camping and stuff like that. Like we've seen people, we've seen it even here. You know, there's really been no hook camp. There's been a lot of very high energy, very high paced gameplay. And we've seen it, we talked about Wispy coming in from the first part of the game. We saw it from our nurse there by Zello last game. We're going to see a third even killer here with hyper surveillance. I'm hoping maybe possibly coming out with the Huntress.
With the Huntress,
yeah.
I want to see it as well. And let's go ahead and talk about what perks are banned and some of those rules here real quick before we get into the match and hopefully see a Huntress. So guys, definitely bans and builds here. We can only see yellow items and below for our survivors. They can't bring duplicate perks except for borrowed time as well, and only one of each item. So that's why we're not seeing 4 flashlights. Banned perks: Prove Thyself, Haunted Grounds, Starstruck, and the killers are limited to using them only twice per season. Match results are subject to review in the event of cheating or missed violations, and we are ready to hop right into this match. Let's see who we got. All right, so we don't have the Huntress that I was hoping for, but we see a Bubba, which is a really good play on this map.
Yeah, because you've got the Bubba has the ability to kind of shred through, especially some of the filler palettes and stuff that are kind of notorious for this map here. And of course, you have that one hit down capability as well, as long as you're able to avoid tantrums and things like that. What that will mean is we're going to see our survivors more so than normal. Normally we see our survivors in competitive scene, they're going to play a little bit more passive, pre-throwing pallets, stuff like that, because they can depend on their teammates to be holding M1 on a generator somewhere else and hitting those skill checks. But now, especially because they got a Bubba right behind them with a chainsaw, we got a down coming in there, and we've also got looks like a blown skill check across the way.
Yeah, definitely seeing the it may have been either a blown skill check or a probably trying to check for ruin and just get that unfortunate skill check right as you're letting go. But we do see Bubba get the hook right near that top section. This is the area I was talking about there being 3-gen potential. So definitely we are seeing Bubba in this section, kind of playing what I was referring to earlier, and definitely the opposite of this section being where those trees are, where I was saying those survivors can force that hook and play the corner same way we saw in Suffolk Pit.
Yeah, so we've got the one down in, we've got the one generator complete. We kind of see high surveillance kind of checking up on the other areas. The good news for high surveillance, you've got the generator here in basically the 3, at least next to 2 of the generators that are still uncovered since you have the corrupt intervention in play here. So you've got less gen work you have the less potential of gen work getting done across your map, especially because you're doing a good job looking across the map. You found a survivor here. The survivor's going to go into this, try and make the locker play here, pops back out, not going to be able to get caught here. Oh, with the hit through, not able to get the stun in time. That's going to be unfortunate, because now you've got a down player right next to your hook. A whole bunch of pressure for high surveillance right now.
Indeed. And what about the play to go ahead and end your tantrum early when they're in the locker and restart it almost immediately? Just like, all right, you're out of the locker, now let's go. I mean, that is just high skill, high IQ play from high surveillance there to force the down when the survivor kind of had the advantage there,
Yeah, and what's really crazy is you see now you've got a slug coming in across, almost, I think, you almost wonder if this is a slug trying to come in potentially for an unbreakable play, or if they've also maybe just trying to pull high surveillance away from a couple of gens that we can get a couple of gens done real quick.
Yeah, I think if you're high surveillance, though, as long as those gens on that top section, which we could see the one near that crane is, it is an unbreakable. That's unfortunate right there. Trying to go ahead and force high to allow the unhook, but high being really high IQ here,
yeah,
to go ahead and force them to go down again, consume the unbreakable here, and really put UA in a good position early. A lot of pressure, only 3 gens done. You still have your top side gens undone there. definitely love to see it if you're UA.
Yeah, especially because you got high surveillance now is going to take this other player, this Jake here. Wispy is going to go up onto a hook, and it's going to be right next to this generator here that's got a lot of progress, almost to 75% there. So that's where we're going to see the kick come in, going to start the little bit of the regression. Unfortunately, we did not see any pop goes the weed, so that's going to be the one thing that's not going to be playing in high surveillance's favor here, just because we're not going to be seeing a lot of progression. But what we do have working in high surveillance's favor here is we're already in the 3v1. Like you talked about, you've got now 2 players here in the middle of this 3v1 situation. You've got Jake going down. You've now got Claudette in your sights as well. High surveillance came to play in game number 3.
Indeed, putting the pressure on, and we may see the pressure returned right back to Wispy, which if you're a viewer, this is amazing. Like, this is exactly what you come for, those close matches, and we're definitely seeing different from all the rest of our games where the killers are really dominating this series and showing, hey, you're gonna have to play really, really good survivor games if you're trying to get out of these trials. In previous games, we've been seeing a lot of survivor escapes, but not this time. These killers came to play.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is we have yet to see what a lot of people would consider like the meta 3 killers too. We're seeing it being done with a Bubba. We're seeing it getting done, you know, with some of our other killers we've seen here already today. We've seen the Death Slinger as well. We now see the reset coming in by our team across the way here. So you would have to imagine by hearing the noise notification over there and the fact that a heal came in, high surveillance has to probably assume that both of the remaining survivors in the trial are here close. We've got high surveillance going into the TNL here. Of course, we do have a little bit of a benefit here for our Bubba friend in this TNL wall here with the bamboozle, as you can hear, coming into play. So now our Claudette has absolutely nowhere to go. The question is, how quick can high surveillance get there? I don't think he's going to be able to get there before Shack Pallet goes down, but that does mean Shack Pallet is now out of play. We still have our other survivor on the ground across the way here. Surveillance going to go ahead and break chase and get yet another pallet out of the way. Now I have 3 survivors in play here, but you've got what, 2, 3 less resources?
Yeah, indeed. I think this is a really costly chase if you're the survivors, just because you're consuming a lot of your pallet potential, and especially knowing that high surveillance has BAM. I mean,
play.
Bamboozle is it's really powerful, especially it takes the Shack completely out of play now, not having that pallet. So definitely it'll be interesting to see how the survivors take chase later on in the match, and we're seeing a little bit of attempted mind game here. Ooh.
Yeah, the only problem, of course, mind gaming a little bit harder on the comp scene on the Azerov's maps just because of perspectives and everything. So we do see high surveillance, though, not going to be able to make... Ooh! Makes it to the locker. Oh, that's Wispy. Wispy, do you got it? You going to do it?
No. Either a missed skill check or doesn't have it.
Yeah. It did sound like they weren't wiggling right up first, right?
Yeah. All right. Bubba flexing his muscles put Wispy higher on hook. Spectator bug there, kind of funny to see. Definitely, guys, we're going to go ahead and keep pressuring these gens, looks like, if you're high surveillance here. And Wispy going on second hook there, but in basement. So I think really the advantage is on high surveillance's side here.
Yeah, especially because, you know, like you already talked about, you've got the bamboozled, you've got Shack Pallet out of the way. On Wrecker's Yard, your basement is literally in the middle of your map, so you can kind of soft patrol your gens at this point, while also keeping tabs on your hook here. So this is really, really huge.
And you've seen both alive survivors at this point. So now knowing where everybody is, Claudette's probably going for save here. But there's not a pallet here to help Nancy. There's the Dead Hard going to the corner, making the corner play. But you're definitely feeling great. Go ahead and leave Solar Blazer in the corner, looks like. Nope, gonna go ahead and hook.
Yeah, honestly, I thought they were going to go back for the basement and make it. I don't know if they would have made it there in time, though. I think that's where a little bit of the game sense we see from high surveillance to decide, you know, almost doubled back and then decide to go ahead and go back and get the hook. And it looks like it will probably work out in their favor. Indeed.
Not seeing the pop here, though. You almost worry a little bit about that gen. So it looks like we are seeing the kick there. And is Wispy just going, hey, take me out? It's fine. I'm ready to go. Do you think this is DS now? Maybe saved it for this moment?
Oh, yeah, baby.
No. Oh no, so Wispy definitely going to be outed from the game here. We do see Solar Blazer getting off the hook here, but with those 2 kills, that has taken 10 possible points away from the survivors, and I think has definitely made sure that best case scenario at this point is a tie for our survivors.
That's a confident play by Wispy there, isn't it? Probably knowing that Wispy is more than likely going to be the killer that's going to come out and get ready for this next round.
Indeed, and definitely with Solar Blazer going down again here, we are seeing some snowballing from these survivors here. A little bit of a red light mind game by High Surveillance there to force Nancy into jumping that vault and getting downed. But maybe a hatch play for our last survivor, for our Claudette here.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what the play is here. I mean, at this point, you do, of course, have hatch in play. We will be seeing some of the rules as far as when hatch will be changing, when the hatch will be coming into play, coming soon. But with the current hatch rules, we will be seeing, the hatch is currently in play somewhere on the map. The question is our Claudette currently looking for it? Are they trying to make a play and get a gen done for some extra points? Are they going to be able to get the pickup here? That's the real question.
I think that they're going for pickup here. If I'm Claudette, you're trying to get pickup and split. But kind of no, we see the Claudette running there. So we may be going for that reset still, but definitely would have preferred to see it while Bubba was on that opposite side of the map.
Yeah, now we're just kind of at this standoff here. Not sure if our Claudette has been able to locate the hatch at this point. We are able to locate our slug, though, over here. So you'd think at this point now, High Surveillance has seen some bodies, going to start checking some lockers, seeing if they can locate the Claudette. The one thing working in Claudette's favor, of course, is the fact that Claudette is not injured, so those screams, those grunts of pain aren't going to be existent. It's just going to be about listening for footsteps and a little bit of breathing if they happen to be running.
Indeed. Listening maybe for rustling grass. And guys, if you don't already know, watching those crows. Watching those crows is going to be really important for High as well, because those crows, valuable resource for killers, seeing if somebody has disturbed them or not.
Yeah, kind of interesting to see we're allowing that bleed out timer to come into play here. I'm not sure if at this point our is Solar a death hook or no? I don't think
Solar is not death hook. No, Solar is second hook, but I think this is okay if you're High Surveillance to let him progress here, because unlike what we had in the first UA kill game, where the hook right there near that corner was consumed. Here that hook is still up, so you can go ahead and leave this slug pressure, hopefully try to force some snowball. But I think if you're the Claudette, you're playing smart, you're playing immersed, and maybe we see a pickup here in just a second, as Bubba is not near the survivor here.
And you can even kind of look around, like as High Surveillance is kind of patrolling the map, you can see that most of the resources have already been consumed. Definitely not a situation that you want to be moving towards pickup here in this dead zone against a Bubba with a chainsaw. So definitely understand the hesitance by our Claudette here. The only question is, has Surveillance located the hatch?
No, I think that's what Surveillance was looking for and hasn't located it. So for sure, if you're High, you got to get the hook now. And having lost track of where our Nancy is, we might see the bleed out.
Oh, you don't want the bleed out and the escape. This could be huge, actually. There's no way this turns around here, is it?
There's the bleed out and the hatch. Oh wow. My goodness. So for Arctic Wolves there, able to get the 4 more. Or no, just another point for an escape there. Bleed out also denying our killer some points. One escape, 3 deaths, 2 of which are sacrifices there. Definitely still really good showing for High there, but puts a lot of pressure on your survivors here.
Well,
a lot of pressure on your survivors to hold a 4-point lead. It's only a 4-point lead in UA's favor.
Yeah, I mean, especially with seeing the performance that we saw from Wispy as the killer in game number 1, especially knowing that there's probably a good potential of seeing one of the meta 3 killers coming out here, or maybe we see Bubba come out. We did obviously see that Bubba does have some strength on Wrecker's Yard, again with the basement being there in the middle, as well as with basically being able to get rid of those resources of a lot of those filler pallets that we see on Azeroth, especially on Wrecker's Yard. So I'm going to be interested to see what we see from our killer here for Arctic Wolves. And I think this is one of the things where it's important to kind of mention, I know sometimes, especially maybe people who haven't watched a lot of competitive DBD, when you get into those like kind of standoffs there at the end, we saw how much it really ended up paying out for Arctic Wolves. Because like you said, you denied 2 eliminations and you get the point for the escape. That was huge for Arctic Wolves there.
It really was. I definitely I thought we were going to be able to see the hook on the Nancy there and force that. We just we didn't come back to the Nancy early enough. So for sure, a lot of good pressure from the survivors to get that out. Go ahead and
has Arctic used Blight yet? Because I think they've used. You mentioned earlier they used Spirit, right?
Arctic has not used Spirit. Arctic has used Nurse.
Okay.
It was UA that has used Spirit.
Okay.
I think I've joined Wispy's lobby here. I think Wispy is our killer yet again. So I am going to go ahead and invite our survivors in. I have invited High in here. All right, and so guys, this is really good showing. We are seeing a score. Actually, the score changed a little bit. Looks like we have 40-38 on our scoreboard. So it's actually a 2-point game. So if you're the survivors, you have to have a 2 out, and you've got to limit those hook states. Like we've said in Vigos, you can have a tie or a single trial. So if you have 2 escapes and limit the hook states to 8 hook states, that is a tie. So,
or less, right?
Or less. It's a tie or a survivor win if you have less, right? So definitely, I think if you're the killer, you're wanting to spread the hook states out, and you're wanting to still guarantee you're getting the 2 kills. You're not wanting survivors to be able to get those body blocks or anything. So do you think we see a return to Bubba there to try to guarantee the multiple downs if they do end up grouping up?
So I think man, that's a really good question. I think 2 things. One, I don't like that Ryan teased me with a hunter earlier, and now I have to wonder if I'm gonna get a huntress or if I'm gonna get any other killer. So thanks for that. But I do like the idea of a Bubba play here, especially because, like you said, a 2 kill. Or a 2 kill, basically, if you need to get to 3 if you're looking to hear it as Arctic Wolves, and you can kind of guarantee yourself an early one and maybe even a late one if you're running like something like a Noed with Bubba. Now it's just kind of up to you as the killer to find that pressure in the mid trial to secure yourself that 3rd elimination.
Yeah.
So Bubba might not be a bad play here. Huntress also has some good basement strength. Also, of course, with the ranged attack and everything too. I'm gonna keep leaning towards Huntress because I've been teased with Huntress, and I love watching comp Huntress, and so you've really kind of pulled at my heartstrings here. So a brother can only hope. You know what I'm saying?
I'm actually gonna go the other way, and I'm gonna say, hey, we haven't seen the Spirit yet. Spirit on Wrecker's Yard is a force to be reckoned with. We're gonna see a Spirit, in my opinion. We'll see who's ready. And hey, I just gotta know, who are you gunning for here? Do you want to see an Arctic Wolves victory? Do you want to see a UA victory? I think I want to see the survivors of UA try to pull this out.
Maybe it's just because I'm like the adult, like adopted brother of the wolf pack. You know, I'm gonna have to say, I like the Arctic Wolves a little bit. You know, that's my fam over there. I hang out a lot with the wolf pack over at DB. So, and again, we talked about heading into the broadcast here with this matchup. Arctic Wolves is really only kind of starting to develop its track and kind of separating away from being under that Golden Wolves name, which people have known. And like we talked about, we saw them take down Agony, I think it was last weekend or the weekend before. Now we're seeing Arctic Wolves showing up and showing out and showing that like they're their own entity and their own force to be reckoned with. So I would like to see them, I would like to see them take this one personally.
Oof. Well, it looks like we are close to being ready here. I'm gonna go ahead and switch into the spectator role here. Looks like those items are set. We have some survivors getting ready. I'm gonna let them know they are good to go on our side. But
I am very excited though. I do gotta say, I always love going into game 4 and it being a game that like you at this point, you don't know who's going to win. It's not like this is Arctic Wolves' game to lose. It's not like this is UA's game to lose. You know what I mean? Like, it's so close that the pressure's on all 5 players going into this trial. And that's just what you love to see on the competitive scene, in my opinion.
Oh, for sure. This is what makes a competitive DBD exciting. This is for sure a treat for all of us today, being able to see these survivors try to hang with these killers that have really had dominant performances. I mean, I'm gonna go ahead and say the survivors have played well. I mean, we saw a lot of resets, a lot of definitely good communication, but we've seen the killers go, okay, I see what you're doing, let me go ahead and put that pressure back on you as well.
Right,
so
yeah,
definitely really good play from everybody there.
I think that's a good thing to point out, because I feel like especially us as commentators, since we primarily watch from the killer's point of view, we kind of act like they're the only ones that have the control, and that's up to the survivors to work against that. But sometimes the survivors, they can do a good job of taking the control, and now it's up to one player instead of 4 to kind of maintain composure. Let me get a down or 2 real quick. Let me build up a little bit of snowball pressure and turn this thing around. So
right. And we're going to go ahead and review our ban rules, or our penalty rules real quick. So if somebody were to bring items that they shouldn't, or if they were to go ahead and start with 2 of the same survivor, there are penalties, -5 points for any of those, as well as a possible restart. If we are harassing the ref, we see -10 points there. Using an exhausted killer, -10 points. Using players not on roster, -10 points. So definitely we could see, we don't want to see any of that, but we're going to go ahead and go right into the game scene here. We have an Oni. Neither of us called this. They are not letting us have our track record of picking exactly who the killer's going to be, Q.
Yeah, oh man, bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him. Oni is a killer that tends to sometimes struggle in the competitive scene, because we talk about it a lot. On that competitive side, you're going to see our survivors play very passive. They're going to be pre-throwing pallets. They're going to be doing the best that they can to prevent Wispy from getting her first hit in and starting to build that pressure there, especially with those add-ons, knowing that Wispy's going to be able to build into that pressure very quickly. The good news though is, as an Oni, a game's never really out of control as long as you know how to snowball your pressure while you're in your power there, especially if Wispy Wispy able to get a quick down here. We don't have a generator complete yet, and we still have Corrupt in play as well.
Indeed, and I like the play, honestly, to bring Oni, because as we were talking about Bubba being a good play because it gets rid of the body block potential and trying to avoid hook states that way. Same kind of thing. You don't really want to take a body block against an Oni. You're feeding the Oni's power at that point. So for sure, I think this is another good way to counter the play of the survivors to be more altruistic.
Yeah, that's tough there. We do see, we saw the the sparks coming from the generator there as they broke away. We do still see, even with the one totem being broke, we do still have Ruin in play. We do see our first gen getting close, and that's with another one even still being really close to that Tinkerer procs there. So our survivors here doing a good job coming out, putting some pressure on early. We do see a blown skill check there, hearing the heartbeat of Wispy. Wispy at this point does look like going to come across here and probably just try and secure a second hook state, going to try the best that they can to go ahead and make this a 3v1 as soon as possible. Unfortunately, I don't think Wispy was able to put enough pressure, onto that gen on Pride Rock to be able to get another Tinkerer procs. So that is going to be 2 generators gone, but that is going to be a second hook state here. I think that's a very good trade.
I agree, and it looks like on this map we actually have 3-gen potential here on the bottom side of this map with our hook being in the center of it. So if you're Wispy, you're content just staying here, you know what I mean? Even this gen we're passing by right now, you're kind of content letting that go, because on the other side, with the dead zone being in the center, you still have that 3-gen, you know? And so you can force survivors into bad trade options. And as we're seeing here, we are going to go ahead and see Ryan take a hit and trade with our with Dead by Cats here. So for sure, our Oni is content with that. And seeing the Oni take power after getting the Tinkerer proc, looks like we're trying to cause a little bit of snowball here.
Yeah, trying to get the snowball.
And we got the down. Wow. Amazing.
That was a huge curve by Wispy. What a hit. Now making the way back over to this other gen, trying to get over to Ryan, going to be able to secure Ryan. This is going to be huge because now you've got Ryan going up onto a hook here. It's going to be a hook number 1. You're also going to be able to make your way back over to where you have the down survivor, which is closest to your furthest progressed generator. You have to assume you've got plenty of blood orbs around. You're going to be able to get closer to that power while you have 2 hooks. Well, not 2 hook survivors. Maybe that looks like potentially a deliverance play coming in across the way. We do know that Ryan was able to get the safe unhook. We'll have to be able to see here in about another 10 or 12 seconds if Ryan gets fully healed with second wind, or if it is indeed deliverance.
Yeah, and definitely I believe that was a deliverance play there for sure. But the survivors here, I want to see Dead by Cats reset. Been injured for a while and running around while injured, leaving blood orbs around the map. Definitely would prefer to see either our totem get broken here or for a reset to happen. And we do see, is that a dead hard? What a perfect dead hard by Dead by Cats.
Yeah, big dead hard, and then you're able to make it to the pallet as well. The only bad news is I do believe Wispy, I was gonna say Wispy, I believe, has already broken that pallet over there by the machinery, but Wispy does go ahead, get over here, breaks the pallet at Shack. You would assume with the ace coming straight at your face, more than likely rocking the BT. Wispy able to get the down on Ryan though. Going to go ahead and pick up Ryan here. Not a bad play. You do still have this hook right here. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised to see Wispy also go with a basement play, though it instead goes ahead and gets Ryan up. That's going to be hook number 2. We do see a heal coming across the way, as well as a Tinkerer procs too.
Indeed, and this is good. That's kind of what I was commenting on before, was that I haven't seen enough reset from UA here. Usually UA is very fast to reset, so it's a little surprising for me seeing that they're kind of on their toes here, not getting those resets as fast as I've seen in the past. So definitely props to Wispy going ahead and putting enough pressure down, kind of taking UA out of their comfort zone, it seems.
Yeah, but UA, even with that being said, has done a very good job. Look at these gens. You'll notice that it does look like the innermost gens are the ones that have been completed. Unfortunately, oh my goodness gracious, look at all the blood orbs. Unfortunately, though, we do still have Ruin in play, so that is going to be causing any generators that are not being worked on that have progress to start regressing. But we do see a Tinkerer procs coming across the way. Wispy's going to make their way there quickly with the dash. That is going to be the Ruin broken, though. That's going to be huge. That does mean generators like the one right next to us that we have already gotten the Tinker procs. We're not going to see them regressing anymore. We see a generator across the way getting done. That's going to be generator number 3. We see Wispy trying to come across here, maybe going for a slug play, trying to go with a little bit of extra buildup of, not going to be able to wrap around here. I don't think this is the play. You got to go back and you've got to secure the hook on Megacy, I think.
Oh, I think with the survivor pathing there, though, definitely our Oni content with going ahead and getting the death hook on Ryan here, and that is important for our Oni.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that was Ryan when I had initially said that. As soon as I saw the down there, that is actually a very good play. That is going to be at the cost of a 4th generator, though. And I do believe that is the generator. Wispy, do me a favor, do a quick spin for me so I can look. No, it does not break up the 3-gen. So Wispy done a very good job of kind of controlling the map and now has a very good 3-gen. We've also got a hurt survivor back here. This would be huge if you're going to be able to get a down survivor on the backside of your 3-gen.
Indeed, and we already see 6 hook states here, so this will give Wispy the 7th hook state towards that tie that would still put Arctic Wolves in good position for winning this game. The tie obviously still allows UA with the chance to win. You really want either a third death. A third death would clench it, or if you can get 9 or 10 hook states, it also clenches it. So for sure, we're definitely seeing pretty dominant play from Wispy here, but still not out of reach for UA.
Yeah, very tough though. We haven't even seen a reset come in though, so you have to wonder if if we've got a generator being worked on. We see a bunch of blood orbs, which is going to get Wispy very, very close. There's going to be the power for Wispy. Now the important thing. Oh, you've got a Tinkerer procs. Please go to the Tinkerer. Okay, this is going to be huge because that means now you've got a hooked survivor still in the backside, nobody close there, so you're going to have to assume that that's going to be a forced second stage here. Unless this survivor happens to be going straight there, Wispy going to be coming back, checking, basically going to be doing a little bit of a patrol with the Demon Dash here. That is going to be a second hook state, though, onto Megacy. That's going to be huge. That's going to be a down. That means the only player left is probably the one that's overworking on the generator that got procs. This is huge for Wispy. You could see a 4K here.
Yeah, and unfortunately, high surveillance, I don't believe has been hooked yet, which really means that is death hook for Dead by Cats, and that's the clinch right there that you need. But we are seeing high surveillance go down, and unless there's an unbreakable play here, we are going to see a 4K and a win for Arctic Wolves.
It's crazy. We saw, in this semifinal matchup, I don't think we saw, I guess we saw the nurse in game 1, but then we saw 3 non-meta killers. Wispy coming out with a Death Slinger and an Oni. 2 killers that are usually, in the comp scene, not very familiar with 4K territory. Wispy's come out in both games with very, very impressive performances. So it's going to be enough to move Arctic Wolves on as long as Wispy is done taking some practice swings here at Megacy.
Indeed, we are seeing a few practice swings there. Going back, and honestly, that actually gave the survivors a good chance at trying to get the unbreakable off. But as we're seeing no unbreakable there, I don't believe. Oh, and it looks like that was his second hook state. So actually, maybe not a well, don't have to worry about them unhooking themselves there. No Kobe's today. Gonna go ahead and see Dead by Cats maybe get hooked here as well. Even with a bleed out though, or a hatch escape, that is clenched for Arctic Wolves.
And that's going to be Arctic Wolves now securing themselves a spot in the finals. Like we talked about, really still in the middle of their coming out party. Just won their first comp DBD game just a couple weeks ago. Wispy again coming out with 2 very, very, very dominant performances. Coming out with Arctic Wolves picking up Wispy. Arctic Wolves, as far as Wispy, I guess I should say, coming over and playing with Arctic Wolves, definitely showing that Arctic Wolves is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, definitely, and I think that's going to bleed over into Vigo's league, because of course this was the qualifiers tournament to decide who was in what league, and UA and Arctic Wolves, this is not the last they'll see of each other, so we may see them gunning for each other in the future for sure. But definitely we got a Arctic Wolves victory with 66-46 being the final score. Arctic Wolves is committed of murder. And
that's tough, man. It was close like we expected.
Yeah.
But Man, Arctic Wolves showing up and showing out, and Wispy, Wispy's showing that they deserve to be mentioned up there with some of the top killers in the game right now. You love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're UA, I mean, you played very well. You were not out of this at like really any point of the game. You weren't completely out of the game, definitely unfortunate to see those bleed outs for sure. Like see points left on the table if you're UA, but really just dominant performances on both sides. So for sure, if you're UA, you've been eliminated, but just get ready for league. You guys have done very well as well. So go ahead and take the lessons learned from this match and be ready to bring it when we get to the league.
Yeah, I think this is kind of one of those situations where we see a lot in comp, right? You get to the end, you look at the scoreboard, you go, man, 20-point difference. But I don't think that really tells a story, like you said, about just how close this matchup was. I mean, UA came out and was in quite the hole after game number 1, brought it back, and even had a 2-point lead heading into game number 4. And Wispy just able to come out and, close the door on them and move on to the finals.
Indeed. And I am checking now with Wispy, seeing if we possibly have a interview in our interrogation room. Bear with me as we do that. We will go ahead and go to a be right back, but keep it here, chat. We will see if we can come back with Wispy. All right, guys, I'm back. Counselor Q had to go ahead and head out for now, but I am joined by Solar Blazer from Arctic Wolves. And Solar Blazer, that was close. Were you feeling the stress at all?
It was definitely quite stressful. I feel like both teams did play really, really well. It was a very, very fun match, both matches.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, fun to call, and definitely the survivors on both sides seem to have a lot of pressure put down on them. You guys performed pretty well early game against that nurse on Suffo Pit, and then Nurse was able to turn it around and get the 4K. Of course, still having one bleed out. You guys were really smart to go to that corner. Played really well there. Were you guys like talking in comms about going to the corner, like just?
Yeah, we definitely had comms about going into corner to try to minimize the points because we knew it was going to be a 4K. It was a really fun match, so really stressful with the slugs and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, you guys, you did super well, and you guys were fast to reset as well. Where your comms seemed like they were on point. You guys kept a pretty level head.
Yeah, comms were really clean. They were really nice. It was such a fun match.
Awesome. And are you guys worried at all going into the finals about who you're going to see possibly in the finals tomorrow, or are you guys feeling pretty good about where you're at and just going, all right, we're
feeling
ready.
Pretty good. We're pretty confident. I think that no matter who we face, as long as both sides have fun, then that's all that matters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys have provided very fun matches to watch, like on both sides, UA and Arctic Wolves. You guys have been super fun to watch, and we're definitely excited for league play. Are you guys thinking you're excited for league play as well?
Yes, we're very excited for league play. Very.
Think there might be a little bit of a rivalry between UA and Arctic Wolves now, as close as this was between your killers?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
Too early to tell. I understand. But yeah, I mean, hey, like I said, excellent matches. You guys did very well. Comms seemed, like you said, were very clean, and you guys were able to do well. And Wispy as killer, what are your comments on that? Like, Wispy's
definitely killer is really good.
Yeah, for sure. Like we were seeing some high tier play from Wispy, High Surveillance, and Xeno. Like everybody, woo, just great play all around.
Yeah,
giving me goosebumps.
It's definitely a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give you the ability to lead the raid here. Do you have anybody you want us to raid? We've got about 69 viewers possibly ready to raid. Who we want to show love to? Show some Vigos love.
I'll DM Wispy and ask her.
Oh yes, I'll be waiting for that.
Joy King.
Joy King, we're gonna be raiding Joy King. Love it. Let's do it. All right. Let me see. I can't remember. Is there underscore? No underscore. All right, sweet. We'll be good to go there. All right, Vigos. Let's make sure to show a lot of love to Joy King here. Definitely also a competitor in Vigo's court. So make sure they feel the love here. And Solar Blazer, it's been a pleasure to be able to interview you. And hey, I look forward to seeing you in the future for future interviews.
It's been a pleasure playing for you guys. Thank you for everything that you do for the community.
And with that, everybody, court is adjourned. I have been your judge, Judge Vader. We have Arctic Wolves finishing this out and being committed of murder. All right, guys. That's all from us.